We had an omelette instead. They were nice days in those days, yeah.
I bet they were delighted to see you home.
Yeah. My dad apparently rang the War Office and was told I was a survivor, because I think he was a bit worried because they heard it on the radio. Lord Haw was his name, that reported on the radio that the Germans had sunk HMS Lark. So I suppose he was worried and rang up to see if I was safe. Anyway, I had a lovely 3 weeks holiday, more or less, at Croyd. Lovely. I think it was still snow on the ground. We used to go snowboarding on the hills there. Yeah, and then back to barracks for a few months, and then I think I got another ship that was commissioned up in Birkenhead, new destroyer, HMS Lagos. And we set sail then from Malta, heading out to the Far East, to join the fleet in the Pacific against the Japanese. Anyway, we were at Malta doing our sea trials, and time we headed out toward Japan and the Far East, the war over there was over. So after that, more of a cruise, and had some nice visiting places like Ceylon, as it was then, and then down to Singapore, where I met my brother who was in the army there. Yeah, so we had a few nights. He came on board, and he couldn't stand sleeping in the forecastle, it was too hot, so he slept up on the deck, all the flies and gnats. And we had some nice days, because we used to catch a bus from where where the ship was tied up at the north of Singapore. To get a bus down to Singapore, we joined this group of army people on a boat and went to the islands, out from Singapore, and it was lovely, The natives there used to climb up the coconut trees, cut fresh coconuts down there, cut them open for us to have a drink. It was lovely, and the sea was lovely and warm, for swimming. Yeah, and then other nights we used to go, it was out of bounds, Singapore, but we used to go down there and get drunk at night, And then set for Hong Kong. We were based there, that was our base. From there we travelled up to Shanghai. And then one trip we escorted a cruiser with Madame Chiang Kai-shek, who was the president or whatever she was of China then, up to Nanking, 200 miles up the Yangtze River. Marvellous scenery going up there, through the mountains, and then all the flatlands, see all the Chinese out in the fields, picking rice or whatever they were doing. Anyway, at Nanking, and then Chiang Kai-shek met whoever she was going, because the communists were then travelling down from north and gradually taking over northern China. And anyway, they had a big firework display on the last night, then came back down. Then we went over to Japan, and they were based at Kuri, and we had some nice little trips all around the islands, I remember seeing one boat by the shore with the girls diving down for the pearls. That was lovely, and it was lovely scenery. We had one trip up into the mountains, there was a lovely lake at the top of the mountains. It was real holiday area, it was beautiful scenery. Then came down, I think we went to Yokohama, where we anchored while a cyclone passed through, so one chap, he said, come up on deck, and I went up there and I said, oh, it's dead calm, the sea's dead calm. He said, we're right in the centre of the cyclone. Yeah, dead calm it was, eerie. Then we had trips to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where they'd had the atom bombs. Terrible it was.
What did it look like?
Hiroshima was in a sort of valley. There was only one building standing, everything else was flat. and up the hillside all the trees had been burnt. Yeah, terrible. But surprising, the Japanese people, they weren't aggressive towards us, because of that. It was amazing. The only people we had to watch out for were the people who'd been in the Japanese army. Yeah, and then we went to Nagasaki. I remember that was burnt out as well. So it had quite a trip round in the end. Then I don't know what year it was, 45, 6. I had to leave the ship and come back on HMS. No, not HMS. The ship was called the Bremen. I think it was called the Bremen, and we had to come back to England for a demob. And remember the trip back through the Suez Canal. Lovely Suez Canal. It's funny, you're going along, all you can see is desert. Then you see the masts of another ship as though they're going across the desert, because it was so twisty. Yeah, and anyway, I got back to England. She stopped at Southampton. I went to see my parents. We were back in Southampton then. And then went on down to Plymouth. Then I think we were just waiting for demob. I think we were on some old rusty ships that were anchored there, just derusting them, something to do while we're waiting for a demob to come through. Anyway, eventually came, and because we were living in Southampton, I was demobbed at Portsmouth and picked up our pinstripe suit, yeah, and then came ashore, lovely, back to the family again. No, just think about work then. End of the holiday.
Interesting holiday, Trevor.
Yeah.
So when you were on the ship that was blown up, the one you jumped off, how many men do you think were on the ship originally with you?
I never knew them. I think it was about 80, 90. It was only a small ship.
Were you friends with many of them?
Yeah, I had some mates, I remember when it was blown up, we'd done a nice rice pudding and gone up to the galley to be cooked. And I was thinking, what a waste of a lovely rice pudding, there it was in the galley, and we had to leave it. Yeah, but none of my mates were injured. The injuries, there was only about 3 killed, I think. I think the poor doctor lost an eye, but otherwise I didn't see them after that, we could all split up, all go to different depots, I was Plymouth, others were at Chatham or at Portsmouth, so I lost touch with a lot of them, yeah.
And after being demobbed, what did you do then?
I didn't have many weeks off, I think. My dad got me a job on the General Post Office, it was then, and that was when the work started. So I remember all we were doing, the digging trenches, laying pipes, putting up telephone poles, laying, putting wires there up to houses, connecting on the phones. Did that for quite a few years. Then I got my own gang. I was in charge of about 3 chaps. That was quite a few years. And then I got promotion, and I was given a post of a supervisor, supervising outside contractors who were doing the work that we used to do, laying pipes and running cables. And I did that for a while, and then I got fed up with the hours I had to work, because contractors worked late in the evening and weekends. Then I went into the planning office. Then from there they formed a building group, and we used to look after the buildings in the area all around Southampton. That was quite interesting. Yeah, doing repairing roofs and exchanges and all sorts of jobs like that.
Did you find it hard to settle back into normal life when you came back?
I expect I did first off, yeah, more hard work. But still enough, because a lot of the work was pick and shovel when I first started, you know, that was labouring. Then to try and improve myself, I went to night school 2 or 3 nights a week, but I was so tired, I think I used to fall asleep, so didn't make much headway with that. No, that's about much as I can remember.
And we're sat here in sunny Swanage.
Yeah.
So how did you end up coming to Dorset and living here?
I lived in Southampton, and I retired when I was 60. I had a chance to come out on half pension. I could have stayed to 65 and got full pension. I thought, no, I've had enough. They were just starting to get computerised, you know, then, so I thought, no, that's no part of me. So I retired, and then we decided to move to Swanage, and we had some nice holidays down there. We used to go on the coach holidays up to Scotland with Excelsior, and all the hotels all around there, lovely holidays. And then we started going abroad to the Greek islands,